Good evening, everyone. This is the November 9th, 2021 meeting of the Auburn Conservation Commission, and we are saved in the nick of time by Allison Holmes. So we do have a quorum. I will note for the record that Michelle Koros and Patrick Cunningham will not be attending. I do not see that Megan Langley is participating remotely, but we do have a quorum. So in addition to the members of the commission that are present, when I call your name, please respond in the affirmative. Building Commissioner Caleb Moody. Here. And Land Use Clerk Ginger Butow.
Here.
Good evening, everyone. This open meeting of the Town of Auburn Conservation Commission of Wednesday, November 10th, 2021 is now being called to order. This meeting is being conducted both in person and remotely, consistent with Governor Baker's executive order of March 12, 2020, which was extended on June 16, 2021. For this meeting, the commission is convening either in person or by remote participation for the public. For the public to join the meeting remotely by telephone, call 1-408-650-3123 and enter access code 942-845-549. Or you can join via computer at gotomeeting.com/join/942-845-549. The remote access information has been posted on the town's website, which identifies how the public may join. Also, please note that this meeting is being recorded by Auburn Cable Television. So for those members of the commission, employees, and members of the public who are participating remotely, please be aware that other folks may be able to see you, and please take care not to screen share your computer, because anything you broadcast may be captured by the recording. So supporting materials for tonight's meeting and have been provided to members of the commission are available on the town's website, and the public is encouraged to follow along using the posted agenda. I don't believe we have any public hearings tonight, but be that as it may, I will go through what our ground rules are. First, as chairman, I will introduce each speaker or each item on the agenda to the extent we have any speakers. After they conclude their remarks, I will go down the line of members, asking if there are any questions or any comments regarding the matter at hand. Please hold until your name is called. And then for any response, please wait until I yield the floor to you and state your name before speaking. And if members wish to engage in discussion with other members, please do so through me. And after members have spoken, I will afford public comment as follows. I will first ask members of the public who wish to speak to identify their names and addresses only. And assuming we have a list of public commentators, I will call each by name and afford 3 minutes for any comments. And that to the extent there are any minutes being taken in this meeting, they will be conducted by roll call. And so having said that, I do not believe we have any public meetings tonight or hearings tonight, but the first item on our agenda, it was a request for a certificate of compliance for 33 Sword Street. Members of the commission went out this past Saturday to go out to 33 Sword Street. We had a copy of the as-built plan that was provided by the applicant. Based on our observation, the erosion control measures were still in place. All filtration and all drainage devices and structures that were shown on the plan were present. They were in fact functioning, or appeared to be functioning. And so based on my observation, it appeared that the as-built accurately represented the conditions at the site. Is there any comment from any member of the commission? In that case, if there is none, is there a motion?
I make a motion that we issue a certificate of compliance for 33 Sword Street.
Is there a second?
Second.
Is there any discussion? All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye. Aye.
Okay, and I see that Megan has joined us. Terrific. All right, it's a vote. The next item on our agenda was for 25 Pinrock Road. Also a request for a certificate of compliance. Again, we went out to the site on Friday, had a copy of the as-built plan, noted that which also called for the installation of a septic system. We took a tour of the property, reviewed the conditions on site. Again, based on our observation and our discussion with the property owner, it appeared that the as-built did in fact comply with the conditions on site. And that's all I have to say about that. Is there any comment from any members of the board? No. Any members of the public who have an interest? Sir, if you would stand up and identify yourself, please.
Fred Bell on 27 Rock Road.
Yes, sir. Now, sir, we have two items on the agenda. One is the certificate of compliance for the site and the septic system. There is, further down, we have an item for 25 Pinrock, which is a complaint about tree cutting. Is that what you want to discuss? So we're not taking that up at this time, but we will take that up in a little while. Okay? All right. Unless, sir, you have any comments about, not about the tree cutting, but about the certificate of compliance that he has requested.
Not
Okay. All right. Thank you, sir. If there's no public comment, is there a motion?
Make a motion, we issue a certificate of compliance for 25 Pinrock Road.
Is there a second?
I'll second that.
Is there any discussion? There being none, all those in favor signify by saying aye.
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 All right, it's a vote. The next item on our agenda is 113 South Street, mosquito control ditch maintenance. I presume this was filed sometime a while ago?
Yeah, it was. I did get an email that they're holding off on it for some issues.
Okay. So
So
perhaps because there are no mosquitoes at the present time.
there's no mosquitoes right now, yeah.
All right, so we'll just, we'll take that off on our agenda, and if they
Yep.
want to reapply or represent, they will do so at a later date.
Yep.
Okay, and then the fourth item is National Grid, and this is an asset condition refurbishment project. Say that fast 5 times. So I received a letter, and you have copies from National Grid dated November 5th, in which New England Power is going to conduct utility line maintenance activities as part of their V174 Asset Condition Refurbishment Project. And apparently, it looks like they're going to be replacing certain copper weld shield wires with fiber optic ground wire, and also certain select structures are going to be replaced. It identifies that the project will take place approximately 15.7 miles in their right-of-way between Charlton and Millbury, including, obviously, the town of Auburn. Also, as they are happy to note, I think, in the second paragraph, they are exempt from filing a notice of intent with us pursuant to the provisions of 310 CMR 10.02 2A2. So, again, the letter was sent to us as pretty much as notification, not because they're required to file with us. And so, again, they wanted to make us aware of what they're going to do. So as if we're driving around and we see National Grid trucks and the construction equipment in the right-of-way, we'll know what they're doing. Okay. With respect to, I guess, complaints that we have received, the first one is for Whitman Bailey Road, an allegation or a contention that the replication area was incomplete. We did go out on Saturday, and I think the question that we had was, this is a subdivision and also different house lots where, to my knowledge, we have already issued certificates of compliance. And so under our standard order of conditions where replication is required, the applicant has 2 growing seasons to basically put in or stabilize a replication area. So I think our action on this turns on when the 2-year period would have expired. And I don't have an answer for that offhand. Yes. From the issuance of the order of conditions. So if I think in terms of their legal obligation, if we know that they did, we have some sort of information or evidence that they did put in a replication area, They're given 2 years for it to stabilize, and then I think after that, and especially given the fact that I think we've issued a certificate of compliance, then I think our hands are tied on this. I don't think we can do anything about it. I mean, we can check with DEP for guidance on that, and I'm happy to do it, but that's my understanding.
My understanding is replication of the is a raised bed.
Okay. And she, did someone complain about it? What was the basis for the,
She was up there, I think she was up there doing inspections for the price of the barn lease.
okay,
And I feel like she knows
That's an isolated number, and we weren't really sure if it was properly connected to the other wetland, maybe a basement wetland that was extended.
you know, I think, let me contact DEP on that. Because, I mean, given the fact that, if they didn't build it properly in the first place, then we might have some recourse here. So I will make that phone call or make that contact.
Concerned about the clearing in the buffer zone?
Well, I guess the question is, we don't know when it was done. We don't know who did it, so it's hard to issue an enforcement order if you don't know who you're gonna send it to. The next item is for 10 Coolidge Street. There was a complaint of algae, and we went up there on Saturday, and sure enough, it appears there is algae there. But I think the contention from the complainant was that it was maybe caused by runoff from Route 20. The area, I don't know what feeds that particular wetland area or even pond area. It is some distance away from Route 20. Visually, I don't see a connection between Route 20 and that pond area. So I think it's hard to conclude that algae is caused by any sort of runoff from Route 20 or even from town streets. And so I think, I think the complainant was hoping that the town might take some action on it. I don't think it's town-owned land, so I don't know that again, based on my observation, I didn't see that there was any connection between anything, or any condition on town streets or even Route 20. Now, granted, we were out there, and it was a nice, clear day and a dry day on Saturday, but again, to be honest with you, I don't know how long, that condition has been like that. I don't think we've been provided that information. So again, it's hard to conclude or draw any conclusions what's causing that algae.
It's clearly algae though, and not.
It's clearly algae. Oh, if you,
Duckweed, right, is that what it was called?
It could be any sort of plant that just suffocated,
right. Could be, exactly. So maybe as it gets colder, maybe that growth will die and then maybe the conditions will improve.
at least the property owner's responsibility.
I think so too. I think if it was owned by the town, I think that'd be one thing, but we have no, we haven't been provided with that. The next item was the solar farm at 476 Leicester Street. There was a complaint of runoff from the retention pond, which we did see. However, I think our complaint has to do with conditions that existed at the time that the notice of intent was filed with us, meaning specifically there is the presence of tires, multiple tires. We saw furniture there. In fact, the condition doesn't, even with the erosion control measures, they've been out of place when we inspected there 2 years ago. It doesn't appear that the applicant did anything to reposition those erosion control measures, and they certainly didn't do anything to remove the tires. And my memory is that they were told to do it. So I think based on what we saw, not only is it an eyesore, but potentially it could degrade water quality. So I think it was our consensus when we went to the site that an enforcement order was required. So if anyone cares to make a motion.
Make a motion, we issue an enforcement order for the Leicester Street solar farm.
Okay, what do you want to say in the enforcement order?
I'd like them to come board and explain how they're going to remedy the situation, because it's been 2 years and it seems like the problem's basically been ignored.
Okay. All right. Is that good enough for you? You want to add something
I'm
else?
concerned about the revenue controls, I'm concerned about the tires and the telephone poles and the other tracks that seem to be going off the side and the sediment that's running down this road.
Right. Well, I mean, look, is there trash on the site? No question. But the problem, of course, we have is it within 100 feet of the buffer zone? So I think this is a project where we have jurisdiction over some things and we don't have jurisdiction over other issues.
And they're just making it just down the road, it's close to it.
I think what we can say is, right, but I think what we can say is that any sort of refuse that's within 100 foot or within a 100-foot buffer zone needs to be cleared out. And erosion controls need to be reestablished, I agree. So is there a second?
And then maybe some sort of
What, check dams?
check dams or something, just something to keep the sediment and the rainwater too. So
Okay,
it's going straight into a stormwater catch basin.
sounds good. And we can work on the language of that order. So then there's the motion. Is there a second? Is there any discussion? All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Aye. All right, it's a vote. The next item is 282 Southbridge Street. And someone complained that trees were being cut. And again, we went out there on Saturday and boy, were trees cut there. This is the long strip of property. I believe it was formerly owned by Mr. Pappas. Again, I didn't make a determination. I didn't check the registry of deeds to see if the property has been sold. But I presume that because all that clearing has been done, that in fact it has been transferred to someone. Probably at least 10 years ago, maybe longer than that, there was actually an enforcement action against the property owner because of problems with the stream located down the slope behind this property. So the question really becomes, are any of these trees, any of the trees that were cut or any of the area where trees were cut, were they located within 100 feet of the buffer zone or within the 100-foot buffer zone? Based on my visual observation, I think the answer is no. I did not see anything that would trigger our jurisdiction. I mean, I think, again, I can understand why people would be curious about the clear cutting of that lot, because that's basically what happened. But there's nothing that I observed showing that we would have jurisdiction to issue any sort of enforcement order. Well, again, in order to make that determination, I think we need to retain someone to take a further look. Caleb, what do you think?
I know the new property owner is a contractor that shop across the street. We've already sort of put stuff for a order on it. It's going to go on the planning board. They file an
Okay,
If they're going to file a plan.
so they need a variance to do the work they want to do? So they just clear cut it and they didn't approach? Okay, that's a little unusual, I thought. We can request an RDA.
They're going to have to show a plan.
Any idea when they might be going before the planning board? No? And who's the property owner now? Quality Contracting?
Across the street.
You know, perhaps a letter from us to Quality Contracting, just inquiring about the status of that property might be sufficient at this point.
Yeah, we've already talked about it.
Sure, okay. So, bearing that in mind, is there a motion for me to send a letter?
Yeah, make a motion that we send a letter informing the landowner, that they need to let us know what their plans for the property.
Possibly file an RDA. All right, that works. Is there a second?
Second.
Is there any discussion? All those in favor signify by saying aye.
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 All right, it's a vote. And then finally, for 25 Pinrock Road, a complaint of cutting trees in the wetland area. So, sir, here's your chance.
Yes.
Could as we come to the microphone,
Sure. If you could just come up here, please.
last week I, no, the right to
You have to go right up to the table, please.
the chair, last week
You just need to state your name again, please, and your address. Okay.
Last week I woke up, had my morning coffee, I go on my deck and I see a big yellow truck go down 25 Pinrock Road, 100-foot boom on it. And I said, okay, you're gonna clean some trees, that's fine. Then all of a sudden I see the boom reaching into the wetlands, cutting trees and pulling them out. So I called the town and sent the inspector up there, and next thing you know, I see him leave, and I called the town back and they said, well, they said it was okay to cut because it was undisturbed area. I said, well, why don't you have them come over, look at my deck and look on my 2.5 acres and see how wet it is. 27 Pinrock Road cannot handle any more runoff. I have 2 humidifiers running 24/7 in my cellar, and when it rains out, it looks like a pond in my cellar. I cannot handle no more water on my property.
So, sir, that seems to be a different issue than trees being cut down at 25 Pinrock. We were out for about 2 hours on Saturday, and we looked at the trees. The property owner,
I didn't see it on my property looking off my backyard.
but the trees that we saw were all, not only the ones that he cut, but the other ones that are in the wetland. They're dead trees, and there's evidence of deterioration of those trees. I will agree with you that the property owner should have filed a request for determination with us. But based on my observation, I think the other members of the commission would agree. Those trees are dead trees, and if they're not taken down, I think they would cause a potential problem.
They weren't all dead.
Sir, I'm talking about the other trees that we saw, all right? And in terms of the water issues or problems you're having, sir, I mean, I can't really speak to that. I don't know the hydrologic conditions in this town, they change over time. So I can't account or explain why it's happening to you or why it appears to be worse for you. I know that we had a very rainy summer this year. And again, I'm not a hydrologist, I'm not an expert, but I don't know that there's a connection between the property owner at 25 Pinrock cutting trees and the problems you're having in your basement. I simply don't know that. I don't know if anyone has told you that. But, and again, if these were healthy trees that were cut down, then he should have filed a request for determination of applicability. I will tell you again that we saw at least another dozen trees there, and they're dead. And so it's going to pose a problem unless you disagree. And I don't know what the condition is for your property. I don't know if you have trees in a wetland area and if you've noticed any trees dying. But we clearly saw that these trees were dead. They were not thriving, and eventually they would come down on their own if they were not cut down by the property owner.
I've been here since 1986, and I haven't had no water issues until the last few years since that home's been built up behind me.
Okay.
I can look at it.
Has anyone told you that the problems you're having are directly related to the construction of his property?
I don't know.
See, that's it. We don't know either. You know, I mean, all we can do as a commission is act on.
West Tech up there dumping water on me, which I fought back and 87, 88. Town looked at me like I had two heads. Okay, I didn't say nothing, but here we are 30 years later, and I got water issues bad. And I just don't know what to do. And I'm here asking you people, please stop the water runoff. That's all I'm asking.
Okay, well, I don't know that there's anything that 25 is doing that's causing you problems.
Not just them, you got the car dealership, he's running water down into Pinrock Road now, so when.
I'm sorry, which dealership?
The car dealership, he's running water down.
Which one?
Pardon me?
Which one? Which car dealership?
The one right at the top of the hill of me. Where is it? One? Lundgren?
Okay.
He's running, so when it rains out, you look at 27 Pinrock Road, it looks like a river.
And how long have you noticed issues from the Lundgren dealership?
I've only known that about last month, I found out about it last month.
What did you observe?
I observed that my road looks like a river when it rains out.
Okay, but how long has it been like that?
And like since last year anyway.
I mean, do you have any pictures or anything showing that Lundgren is diverting water so that it's affecting your property?
The only pictures I do have is from what I just took from the other day from up behind me. That's all I have right now.
All right, so why don't we do this? If you can provide those pictures to us, we'll be happy to take a look at them.
We'll video for you next time it rains out.
Okay. And then we're going to be meeting again on December 8th. And so what we can do is we can carry this matter. I think, again, your issue is separate from 25 Pinrock, and again, based on what you've told me. But we can carry this issue over to our next meeting. We can have a discussion about it at that time.
I'd just like to be notified if he's going to do any work up there, any more backfill, and I'd like to at least be notified by the town so I can address the issue.
All right, understood.
That's all I'm asking.
Okay,
Okay.
all right. Thanks for coming.
So I have a question. In the original order of conditions for 25 Penrock Road, was tree removal approved as part of it?
I'm sorry, what was the question, Megan?
As part of the order of conditions for 25 Penrock Road, was tree removal approved as part of that?
I don't think so. I don't think it was I would have to pull the notice of intent. But I don't believe that it was included. And again, I think, the property owner should have notified us before cutting any trees. So, I mean, I think there is a violation there. But it's a very wet area. And again, when we went there on Saturday, we saw there were at least another dozen trees that are clearly dead and are going to pose a problem at some point if they're not removed. You know, so obviously the question is one of notice, and the property owner was present. We had a discussion with him, and I believe he understands now that if he intends to take down any other trees, he's going to notify us first.
Okay. So, but when you all went out there for the site visit, was that before or after this tree cutting was witnessed by the complainant?
We were there on Saturday, and the trees were already cut down.
Okay.
Okay.
So we don't know for sure if they were dead trees or not.
Through the chair,
Yes.
I was there the day he was cutting trees, advised him that he couldn't cut any trees or do any work within 100 feet of the wetland.
Right.
The trees that I witnessed being cut were dead, clearly dead. But we did advise him that day that he couldn't do any work within 100 without further comment.
I mean, my sense was that and again, maybe we're giving him the benefit of the doubt, but my sense was that he honestly didn't know that he had to notify us. He knows that he needs to notify us now. And, you know, and the trees that had been cut down, they were pretty large trees. So I think the other trees some of them are certainly smaller in size, in any event.
And not just notify us, but file with us.
Well, that's right, exactly. He's going to do an RDA, absolutely.
You know, if there's any consolations of replanting or, you know, replacing some of those trees because it's a wetland.
The problem, though, is you can't put him back in the wetlands.
Right. Well, I'm saying for compromising. I would suggest too that, topography is a big issue with this area, and it didn't seem to me from first glance that his property went down towards yours, but maybe, I feel like you'd need someone to really look at it, a scientist to look at the topography and see where your drainage is coming from. Sounds more likely like it's coming from the car dealership. But
Well, like I said, if you have some evidence to that effect, we'll certainly take a look at it. And if Lundgren's doing something they shouldn't be doing, we'll put them on notice about it, and we'll go from there. Okay? You're welcome.
To the chair.
Yes. And who's this?
Steve Peichel, Burton Engineering, for the applicant.
Oh, hi. How are you?
Hello. Could you make me the presenter, please? I'd like to share my screen.
Okay. The floor is yours, sir.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. I'd like to address a couple. I'd like to address a couple questions.
Sure.
The first one, just let me know when you can see my screen.
We can.
Okay. I just want to address the water issue that the person from 27 Pinrock was talking about. Not sure who that is, but I'm sorry, but could they please stop interrupting? I also have something here from Oliver, just to give you a relationship here. This is the applicant at 27. This is 25 Pinrock. You'll notice that there is a large wetland here, and there's also an intermittent stream that runs through the property that goes and clearly bisects 27 Pinrock. So to me, it's obvious that if someone's having water problems here, obviously there's a hydraulic connection that goes right underneath the Massachusetts Turnpike, and then it goes to the river as well. So that's, I don't know what it is that the town of Auburn could do about that. Obviously, there's a hydraulic connection there, and it's going to take water. So yes, your basement will be full of water.
I think the gentleman was claiming that it's gotten worse over the last year or so, correct, sir?
Yes.
So the question is, what is there an explanation why the conditions seem to be worse and his basement is wetter than it has been?
Again, this is just my professional opinion, but we've gotten our peaks that we use design storms for in order to analyze watersheds within the area. They are typically 210, 125, and those recurring storms are actually becoming larger. So yes, there is an obvious change here, but it's not due to any cutting that Michael is doing on his property. It's just overall, you have a very big area here. You have a large amount of impervious surface as wet deck. And also there's subdivisions to the north. So all of those things contribute to water runoff. It's unfortunate that, the people on 27 are having issues. However, this is just the natural progression of development. And so I really would like to help the gentleman about this. But honestly, I don't know if there is a solution here. You have a very large area, a very large watershed that, that takes water. And just because Michael goes out into the wetlands and very carefully cuts trees that are dead, I don't think he should be held accountable for the hydrology of the overall watershed in this whole area.
Understood.
Thank you.
Okay. So again, we will carry this over to our next meeting. We don't have a dog in this hunt, sir. We're just, we're here to apply the law and the regulations fairly. And, as I indicated to you, I myself, not being an expert, but I don't see a connection between the cutting of trees and the problems you're having with water in your basement. But to the extent.
That used to be all woods there, that used to be all, there was some of people on my property behind it. That was all clear cut, and they put the property.
I understand that, sir, and there was, again, without debating the issue, the house was constructed in upland. It was not constructed in wetland area, and steps were taken. In fact, our commission doesn't allow, we have our regulations, we comply with the Wetlands Protection Act. We have a 25-foot no-build zone in connection with wetlands. The project, when it came before us, it met the criteria and the criteria have been out there for years, for decades. And the plan that was submitted to us met our criteria, and that's why we issued the order of conditions for the property. So again, I can't speak to your situation, sir. Again, my only observation is that we've had wetter summers. We've had more significant storms of greater duration and volume of water. And I think to really get to the bottom of your situation, as Allison suggested, you might need to hire someone.
I used to be able to walk that property when I first lived there. Maybe the first 10 years living there, I could walk that whole property over in Mosquito. I wouldn't walk through there now and pay me $100. I can all swamp.
Understood.
I go in there, sink up to my knees.
Okay.
And it's not just one area, it's my whole 2.5 acres.
Hydrology changes over time. And again,
Cut trees down, yeah.
sir, without knowing what is contributing to that situation, I can't comment on it, and I certainly can't jump to any conclusions about the cause of it. And frankly, I don't think you should either. I think it's something that needs to be investigated if you want to spend the time and frankly the money to do it. Again, we act on evidence that's presented to us. We can't jump to conclusions without having, it has to be based on fact. It has to be based on evidence that's presented to us. And that's all I can tell you. So if you have other supporting information and you want to submit it to us, we're going to be meeting again on December 8th. Okay, all right, thank you.
To the chair,
Yes, sir.
Steve Peichel, Burn Engineering. I'd just like to address the question about the RDA that we will be issuing your board for the cutting of trees for the 25 pin rock. This is selective cutting, obviously, and what would be the length and breadth that you would like to document here other than we're cutting dead trees and we're removing them from the property?
Well, I think we'd like you to identify which trees you're going to be cutting.
Can we document this by using lath and actually marking the trees?
Well,
and do you like photos or what in particular? How would you like to, let's say, document the cutting of the trees?
I think
is this a report that gets put together or is it a map? What is it?
Well, we don't usually give advisory opinions, sir. I know that the homeowner has already, he's marked the trees he wants to cut down, he's tied ribbons to them. I think showing those trees on a plan would be probably the easiest way to show us what he intends to cut.
Okay.
Okay.
Thank you, Chairman.
All right, you're welcome, sir. Thank you. That's all we have for our agenda this evening. Is there any other new business?
Yes, I'd like to discuss Eastland Partners and a site visit out there.
Yes, Eastland Partners. So again, during our marathon walking session on Saturday, we also went by Washington Street and Eastland Partners, specifically Lot 3. And
Okay.
the members of the commission will recall that we had some questions concerning we wanted them to do their work further away from the wetland area. They revised the plan to address our concerns. And yet, when we went out there on Saturday, we saw that there had been excavation within the 25-foot no-build zone. So, I knew I forgot something. So, keeping that in mind, I think the consensus of those who went out there was that an enforcement order was required. I think the feeling would be that they cease and desist from doing any more excavation in that area, and furthermore, that they do restoration of any area that's been excavated within the 25 feet of the wetland, which is clearly demarcated at the site. So is there a motion?
I make a motion that we issue a cease and desist order to Eastland Partners for any further work on that back rear left side lot. Basically, from our observations, I'd like to add to that, Chair, that we did note the wetland flags, and they put the erosion control measures basically almost on top of the wetland flag and dug right up to it. So we didn't allow for special order number 14 in the order of conditions where we would grant a waiver if they pulled what was supposed to be their development further out of the zone.
That's exactly right.
And they failed to do that.
Okay. So we will also include that they, well, I mean, we didn't issue that condition, so obviously they had no permission to do any work within the 25-foot no-build zone because they didn't have to. You know, I think they were just, they were careless.
Do we want them to stabilize the stockpiles as well?
Yeah, and also, as you drive down Route 20, there are huge mounds of soil. And they did not appear to be stabilized, and I think that was a concern. If we get a heavy rainstorm, and it's inevitable that at some point we're going to, before they spread that soil, I don't know if I assume their intention is to redistribute that pile at some point. But until that time, I think, as you noted, it makes perfect sense for them to take steps to stabilize it. So if that's the motion, is there a second? Okay. Is there any further discussion? There being none, all those in favor signify by saying aye.
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 All right, it's a vote. All right. And is there any new business? If there is no new business, is there a motion to adjourn?
Make a motion to adjourn.
Okay, is there a second?
Second.
All those in favor indicate by saying aye.
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 All right, it's a vote. All right, everyone. We will be back here on December 8th. I hope you all have a happy Thanksgiving. And we'll see you when we see you.
Work on our
Thanks, bye.